You didn't disappear. You just stopped pretending. There's a difference. And somewhere inside you, you already know that. Because it didn't happen all at once. There was no dramatic moment where you decided to pull away from people. It was slower than that. Quieter. It was 100 small disappointments that you swallowed without saying a word. It was the exhaustion of showing up fully for people who showed up halfway. It was the slow realization that certain conversations left you feeling more empty than when they started. And yet you kept going back, kept giving, kept trying to make something work that was never going to. Until one day you just stopped. And maybe you've been carrying guilt about that. Maybe you've questioned yourself. Maybe you've wondered if something is wrong with you. Why you don't want to be around people like you used to. Why the idea of certain gatherings fills you with dread instead of excitement. Why you need so much more silence now than you used to. Pay attention to this next part, because what happened to you isn't a breakdown. It isn't antisocial behavior. It isn't coldness or bitterness or some personality flaw that needs to be fixed. What happened to you is one of the most intelligent things your mind has ever done. It learned. There is a type of woman who carries too much for too long. She's the one who shows up when others don't. She's the one who listens at midnight, who checks in first, who makes people feel seen without ever asking to be seen herself. She gives with both hands, genuinely, completely, and for a long time, she believes that if she just keeps giving, the energy will eventually return. It doesn't. Not always, not from everyone. And here's what nobody talks about. At some point, her nervous system starts keeping score, not out of spite, not out of resentment, but out of necessity. Her body starts registering what her mind has been too generous to accept, that some relationships are not exchanges, they are extractions, and the silence you retreated into, that was your system finally listening to itself. Here's where everything shifts. The world told you to stay open, stay available. Don't be so serious. You're overthinking it. You're too sensitive. People aren't that bad. Give them another chance. Just let it go. And you tried. You really did. You stretched yourself past what felt right because you didn't want to be the one who gives up. But there's a line between flexibility and self-abandonment. And somewhere along the way you crossed it. Not because you were weak, but because you were taught that love meant always being available. Always being the soft place for someone else to land. Nobody taught you that you were also allowed to be someone's soft place for yourself, so you closed. Not your heart, your door. There's a difference. Closing your heart means you stop feeling, and you haven't stopped feeling. If anything, you feel everything more intensely now. The difference is that you've stopped performing those feelings for people who never earned them. This is not the same as shutting down. This is discernment, and discernment is not a defense mechanism born from fear. It's a skill born from experience. There's something that happens to a woman after she's been emotionally exhausted one too many times. She develops a kind of inner radar. She starts noticing things she used to overlook. The way someone only calls when they need something. The way a conversation always circles back to them. The way you leave certain interactions feeling smaller than when you arrived. She used to explain these things away. Now she just notices them. And quietly, without drama, she adjusts her distance. That adjustment looks like coldness from the outside. From the inside, it's the first real peace she's felt in years. But here's the part that actually hurts, and it needs to be said because nobody likes to say it out loud. When you start protecting your energy, some people take it personally, and some of those people will be the ones you loved most. They won't understand why you've changed. They'll say you're different now and they won't mean it as a compliment. They'll miss the version of you that was always available, always accommodating, always willing to shrink so that they could feel comfortable. And that loneliness, the loneliness of becoming someone healthier while still being surrounded by people who preferred who you were before, that is one of the most quietly devastating feelings a woman can experience. You're not imagining it. It's real. The growth is real. And so is the grief, because the truth is, not everyone will be able to follow you into this version of yourself. Some people were only in your life because the old version of you allowed it. The woman who never said no. The woman who absorbed tension without naming it. The woman who made herself smaller so the room felt bigger. She's gone now, and you're here. And what you have now, this quiet, this discernment, this willingness to sit in your own company without needing noise to fill the space. This isn't isolation. This is selection. You're not afraid of people. You're just no longer afraid of their absence either. The woman who pulls away isn't broken. She's recalibrating. She's learning the difference between connection and performance, between depth and obligation, between people who stay when it costs them something, and people who only stay when it costs you everything. And slowly, carefully, she's rebuilding, not the walls she tore down, but something more precise. Boundaries that aren't barriers, silence that isn't avoidance, distance that isn't punishment, just space for herself to actually exist in. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are not too guarded or too serious or too selective. You are someone who finally started treating your own energy the way you always treated everyone else's. With care, with intention, with the understanding that not everyone deserves access to all of you. And the fact that it took a long time to get here, and the fact that you had to be drained before you learned to refill, doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. It makes you human. And it makes what you're building right now infinitely more real than anything you were holding on to before. You didn't pull away because you gave up on people. You pulled away because you finally stopped giving up on yourself. And that is not something to apologize for. That is something to protect.